Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Apologies in advance for the initial technical difficulties that we've had because we've had to send everybody an updated link and I guess portal to join us today or tonight. We'll just wait a few minutes while everyone finds the right link and is able to join us here on the Zoom link today. So thank you again for joining us all. By way of introduction, my name is Nassim. I'm a licensed immigration advisor at Working International Visas, and I will be joined by two amazing panelists today that are going to be able to answer a whole lot of questions and will be able to provide a lot of information for those of you that are looking to migrate to study or to live in New Zealand. So let me just check. Apologies if it looks like I'm staring away from the screen. It's because the information that, or I can see where people are asking questions is on a different computer screen. So let's just see where we're at. All right, so I can see that we've got a lot of us here online now. So looks like we're good to go. So our first panelist today is Ben Burrows. Ben is from Education New Zealand. I will leave it with him to formally introduce himself and to share his vast knowledge and experience in the field and why he's here to join us today to talk to you guys all. Ben?
Oh, kia ora, Nassim. Thank you for the intro, and thanks to Aman and the team for giving me the opportunity to join you all today and speak on behalf of Education New Zealand. So really quickly, we are the New Zealand government agency responsible for international education. So our core focus is promoting New Zealand as a study destination for international students. So in my role, I'm the regional director for Asia, and I'm based in Singapore. So thanks for your interest in joining today's session and your interest in a New Zealand education experience.
Thanks so much, Ben. And the next panelist that we have with us today is Aman Jaspal. Aman's been with Working In for a little while now, but you might know him from some of the other work that he's done in the student visa space. So Aman, can I please ask you to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, hi Nassim. Hi Ben. So nice to have you here with us today and share your vast knowledge. Thank you for taking the time out from Singapore and joining us today. I am Aman Jaspal. I'm a licensed immigration advisor with Working International Visas. I've previously worked with a lot of education agents in the Indian subcontinent market. I've also had some experience working with education institutions as their marketing representative in the Indian region. So I'm happy to share my knowledge and my experience with you and helping you make the right decision to come to New Zealand.
Thanks, Aman. Look, I think before we get into too much detail, it's probably a good idea for everybody to understand why New Zealand as a destination. So perhaps we can start with you, Ben, initially to explain why is it that people should come to study in New Zealand, and what is it that this wonderful country of ours offers those who are looking to pursue further education here?
Yeah, no problem. I can definitely give my perspective. I mean, we're pretty lucky in New Zealand to have such a world-class education system. It's a system that's continually ranked worldwide as one of the most innovative and probably unique learning environments across the globe. I mean, when we promote New Zealand as a destination, we talk obviously about the in-class or learning experience, and that's right from our school sector through to our universities, through to our private training establishments, and our Te Pukenga, which is essentially a new amalgamation of all of our polytechnics in New Zealand. So we are, well, when we promote ourselves, it's all around think new. It's a new way of looking at things. New Zealand's really emerged as a front runner in a lot of niche emerging subjects as well. We also, and that's the learning, but I think if you are looking at coming to a country or traveling to a new country, obviously you want to be going to a safe, a welcoming country, somewhere where you're made to feel at home, and New Zealand is certainly that. and obviously more relevance to this particular webinar, it has, you know, and I'm sure Aman will talk about this in more detail shortly, but New Zealand does provide really strong opportunities for work experience as well. So that can be work while you are studying, and then there's some fantastic opportunities to work past graduation. I think as a New Zealand government agency, well, Education New Zealand, while we're very focused on talking about the study experience, we're obviously conscious that you know, you're using your education and you're using that as a CV, and you want to then enable that to enable yourself to work and go into the career that you're after. So whether that's in New Zealand, is obviously important for this call, whether that's back home in your home country or anywhere else in the world, you know, a New Zealand qualification really is a passport to your success. And I think, I mean, I could talk for hours about why New Zealand's so fantastic, but we do have such incredible alumni now around the world, and also in New Zealand who have graduated as international students and have gone on to forge such incredible careers. And they talk about the impact that New Zealand had on their lives, like I said, both professionally and personally. So yeah, there's a huge range of reasons, but I think the high quality education system, where it'll take you in your professional life, and the way you'll be made to feel at home, I think are three pretty special reasons to explore more about New Zealand.
Thanks for that. No, I think I can definitely agree. And anyone who's, I guess, watched world events over the last couple of years, or even in just the last couple of, you know, days and weeks, can see that New Zealand is a very safe place, that we have lots of opportunities. And so that's why it's a great place to be considering to study. Now, you talked about, you know, you touched on the fact that you appreciate that people come to study in New Zealand because it's a career move. You want something on your CV that's going to help with that future job. Now, we know that the New Zealand government encourages people to come and study here. As part of that, and I don't know, maybe Aman's better to answer this because we might be getting into the nitty-gritty of the policy, but is there particular courses that we think that people should be studying or should be looking at if that's part of their goals?
Yeah, look, there's a range of opportunities there if that is your end goal, to remain in New Zealand to work and potentially longer term to migrate. I mean, we work, and I know Aman and everyone here works very closely with Immigration New Zealand. They are our partner agency who manage all visa related matters. We promote the study experience. So look, if we're wanting to talk about those potential options, Aman, I'm very happy to hand it over to you. This is your area of expertise, so you go for it.
Yep. So Nazim, you know, New Zealand offers a wide area of courses to international students, whether you're coming in here as a bachelor's degree, aspiring to study a bachelor's degree program, a master's student, a PhD student, or even if you want to come in for shorter diplomas. Now, the pathway when New Zealand is, if we're talking about residency in New Zealand follows a skilled migrant pathway to residency. So it's a points-based system. So the points, there are special bonus points allocated to anyone who completes his education in New Zealand and has work experience in New Zealand. So if you are someone who comes to New Zealand, studies here, spends some time on a post-study work visa, it does definitely enhance your chances of getting a residency under the skilled migrant category.
Great. So that's, I'm sure for a lot of people who are you know, listening now and, you know, maybe have thought about this in the past, they aren't just looking to study, they're also wanting to know that they can stay here longer term. So I guess maybe we can go back to the current situation. So the borders for New Zealand are currently closed. And I think there was a pop-up or a slide that talks about the border closures, but that doesn't necessarily mean that students can't come. So potentially students can be coming now, despite the borders being closed. So Mike, can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, what the border closures are, what special, I guess, considerations or concessions have been left, allowed for students, and what that means for people now and in the future.
Yeah, so Nazim, as you can see on the slide, New Zealand, since the border closures, since February this year, New Zealand has been allowing a smaller, short cohorts of students to come in. Now, the major change, which was recently announced, is that from April onwards, 5,000 students would be allowed to come in under the current border exemptions, which would mean that they would be able to begin their studies for the July curriculum in 2022. Now, the way this 5,000 cohort has been distributed, it's been divided into about 1,450 students would be allowed border exemptions to attend universities. 750 students would be allowed to create a border exemption for the ITPs, which are the polytechnics. 850 border exemptions would go to the private sector institutes. So that means that if you are someone who's looking at coming to New Zealand this year for the July intake, there's a very good possibility that you can come. It's a good time to start seriously considering what courses, what institutes are you looking for. The process, however, is a slightly different one this time around, because this time under the cohort scheme, the institutions need to nominate you to the Ministry of Education. So there's an additional process that comes into place here this time around. But regardless, there is a very strong possibility, and there would be 5,000 students coming in this time to attend the July session.
Okay, so that's quite a lot of individuals and a lot of opportunity for those who want to come sooner rather than later. Now, you talked about the specific student cohort. I understand that there's other students currently coming in for specific occupation, for specific courses as it is. The nurses or people coming to do the CAP course. Could you tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Yes, so currently, as per the current border exemptions, if you are a nurse who meets the requirements of the New Zealand Nursing Council, you can get a recommendation to attend a CAP course. Once you do that, you would be eligible to get a border exemption to come into New Zealand and start your CAP courses in New Zealand straight away.
Okay. So there's actually quite a lot of potential opportunities based on where specifically you and your circumstances fit within, all of the border exemptions or the sort of opening and phased opening of the borders.
Yep.
All right. So I guess the key point from all of that I'm hearing is that regardless of what you want to study and when you want to come, you've got options and you don't necessarily need to wait. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. Now, I understand that with the nurses or anyone who's a registered nurse overseas who might need to do that course, the CAP course, that there's also another potential opportunity should they come sooner rather than later around the 2021 resident visa that was announced. Can you give us a little bit more detail about that?
Are you referring to the healthcare caregivers, or?
Oh no, not just the healthcare givers, but those studying the CAP course.
Yes, so there, another from a migration point of view, yes, there is a great opportunity. Sorry, missed that out. If you are a nurse who's qualified, who meets the requirements of the Nursing Council and has been admitted for a CAP course into New Zealand, you can come into New Zealand straight away right now. But also additionally, if you reach New Zealand, if you get your qualification, your CAP course qualification, and you get registered as a provisional nurse before the 31st of July, you're also eligible to apply for a New Zealand residence under the 2021 residence visa policy.
So that sounds like a very quick way of being able to make sure you've got some solid New Zealand experience on your CV. So if you don't mind, Ben, I'll come back to you. Now, Aman and I have just talked about nurses. They're obviously a skilled role. That's not the only sort of occupation that New Zealand is generally trying to encourage to come and study and work. Does the government have any specific directives as to the types of courses or levels of study that they're trying to encourage people to come and complete?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting question. I mean, it's well, a number of government agencies are working through now are doing a sort of a review on the profile of students that they're wanting to actively recruit into New Zealand, and that plays into Immigration New Zealand's, obviously the list that they publish around skill shortages. There's also a host of scholarships that A, administered by the New Zealand government, or B, administered by the New Zealand institutions. And those are generally matched to industries that we often need skilled workers in. So that information is always publicly available. It's probably a good point to mention now is that we have a website, studywithnewzealand.govt.nz, which I can help type into the chat as well. And we have all the information in there for students. So I think what I'd really encourage, and you've just mentioned this already, is now's the perfect time for students to continue doing their research online, looking at what specific study programs are of interest. Continue speaking with your agent or your immigration advisor. Check our website, and then later in the year we'll also be doing or restarting a lot of our larger scale promotional events in country. So depending on where you are in the world, ENZ will be restarting its either its Education New Zealand study fairs or fairs that are launched by our in-country agents. And then from there, you should be in obviously a really strong position to make an informed decision about coming to New Zealand. And Nassim and Aman have already talked through the existing opportunities, which there absolutely are. I think if we're looking longer term, on that slide, you had the student visa applications opening for all international students by October, which is obviously a really massive milestone for New Zealand. And being in time for students to arrive at the start of the 2023 academic year. So I think, there's lots of information out there, but it's, and also we, just to highlight as well, on our Study with New Zealand website, we do publish our list of trusted agents, our trusted licensed immigration advisors. So with Working In, for example, obviously I'm doing the webinar today. So there's we only work with trusted partners who have a proven track record around their work they do with student visa applications with Immigration New Zealand. So you can rest assured that you are working with a trusted partner who has the ability to put all the right information in front of you.
Thanks for that, Ben. I realised that I possibly didn't share with everybody the size of the Working In visa team. We're 16 licensed immigration advisors. I myself have been with Working In for 11 years. A lot of us have been around the sun or around the block a few times. And so we've obviously, we've been doing this for a long time. And so not only is it important for us that when someone gets in touch and they want to learn about the courses that they're going to be studying, because of our experience working with employers, and I know Aman talks about this quite a bit, is that we understand the final, where you're trying to end your journey or where you're looking to end up, and so we can guide you through that process. So Aman, did you want to talk a little bit more about how specifically people can get in touch to talk about the courses that they might want to study and how we can help them through that process?
Yes, absolutely. So Nazim pointed out, we are one of the largest immigration recruitment and visa teams in New Zealand. What I always reiterate to students and prospective clients who come to us is also the fact that the kind of knowledge we have of the New Zealand marketplace. We are not just education agents. We also guide you in terms of what your potential choices would reflect in few years down the line when you actually complete your education, what it would, where that particular education would place you in the New Zealand job market, not just the New Zealand job market, but the international job market, because we work internationally with a lot of companies as well. So that's the kind of knowledge that we want to share with prospective students when they do decide to come and pursue the course in New Zealand. Now, in terms of what the process is like, like Ben suggested, this would be the right time to start researching, think about what courses you want to do, think about what institutions you would want to sort of which institutions you would like shortlist. There would be a lot of your decisions could be based on a lot of factors, whether a particular location of an institution could be one, the cost of the institution, the curriculum that the institution offers. So this is the right time to actually start putting your energies into that research. And like Ben said, February would be a time when majority of the institutions have their intakes. But at the same time, I also want to reiterate, there are a lot of institutions in New Zealand which have a rolling intake, which probably have intakes in December, January. So when the visas open up, when the processing starts to become as normal pre-COVID, from October onwards, you should be ready with your documents, with a clear idea of where you want to head.
Okay, so start with the end goal in mind and basically work backwards.
Absolutely.
So one of the questions that we tend to get is, what will I be able to do while I'm studying? Who can come with me? Do I have to come by myself? Am I able to work? All of these sorts of things. So can you give us an idea, Aman, as to, the types of visas, the types of conditions that are normally tied to a visa and what that means for people coming to study in New Zealand?
Yes, so once you get the intention, and students should be very clear, when you're coming to New Zealand, you should be coming here to study. So your main intention and your purpose to come to New Zealand should be to gain academic knowledge and experience the New Zealand culture and the different sites the country has to offer. But at the same time, while you are in New Zealand on a study visa, you do get part-time working rights, and those rights you can work full-time on certain designated holiday periods. As far as who can accompany you, if you are coming to New Zealand as a master's student or as a PhD student, your partner can accompany you on an open work visa. If you are also coming and doing a level 7 course, which is a degree program or could be a postgraduate diploma program, or a level 8 course, which is in the long-term skill shortage list, in that case as well, your partner would be allowed to come with you on an open work visa. Now, I'll give you an example of what these courses would look like for level 7 ones, because we do get a lot of questions from students who have completed, let's say, a bachelor's in engineering in their home country, and they want to do a 1-year diploma. They're married, they want to know whether their partner can accompany them. So for someone like them, if you're doing a graduate diploma level 7 in highway engineering, so that's a degree which is in the long-term skill shortage list. So if you pursue a course like that, your partner would be eligible to come on an open work visa with you.
Okay, so that's good. So you could have studied, you've done some work experience, you're looking for that further, that next move in your career, further upskilling and study. So it doesn't mean that you have to leave all the family behind. They could potentially come with you as well if you're studying the right course. It's good to know. Interestingly is that when you're talking about the long-term skills shortage list, for anyone who doesn't know, that relates specifically to a set of occupations that the New Zealand government has identified are in such high demand that people who are studying those courses or have qualifications and work experience in those fields tend to find it not only easier to find employment, but to then subsequently get the visa as well. So if you can't tell from my name, I'm Iranian. And so I come from a background where academic study is really, really important and you need to study very specific things. And I know that for lots of people from India and the Philippines as well, you study something with the goal that you can work hard and provide for your family. So if you're not sure as to what you want to study, starting with an occupation or a role that's linked to the LTSSL is probably a good place to start. Now, we'll share a link in the chat box now, which is where you can register your interest to learn more about specific courses based on your circumstances. So as Aman noted, it's really, really important to do some of your own initial research. But once you know, you have an idea of what you want to do, we'll be able to match up what you're trying to achieve with the courses that are available. And obviously, New Zealand is very eager to have students come and study here. Ben's talked about, you know, some of the wider goals of the government, and the fact that there will be further events online and in country as well to attract people to our tiny little island, where we have, you know, the best COVID response in the world, an economy that's still booming and everyone happily sitting around. So it's a great place to study. It's nice and safe. So if that hasn't already been shared in the chat box, we will share it with everyone. I'm mindful of time. We don't have a lot of time because we did start a little bit late, and we appreciate that you are taking time out of your day, even though it is a little bit earlier. Not quite sure how long everyone's lunch break is overseas. It's only half an hour here. So was there any final words or wisdom that you wanted to share with everyone, Ben, who is thinking of studying in New Zealand?
Oh, words of wisdom. I'd say, look, you're already in the right place. I mean, if you're joining today's webinar, you're already showing a genuine interest in New Zealand, which is fantastic. I think, I mean, Nassim, you mentioned it earlier around focusing on a particular program. I think it absolutely is a great start. I mean, New Zealand does have a very flexible learning environment, but if you are able to demonstrate, and I'm getting into sort of Immigration New Zealand territory here, but if you're, you know, if you're able to demonstrate your genuine need or interest or passion to study something in New Zealand, that's a fantastic start. And then I would just really encourage you to work or continue chatting with the team at Working In, if that's, you obviously signed up for this webinar. I mean, it's not a straightforward process. You will need their help to go through it, but like I said, keep doing your research now, keep chatting to the team, and they'll certainly be able to point you in the right direction. And I know it's been a challenging time for students in the last couple of years when they have been exploring options to look overseas. And I know you've had to be very, very patient with New Zealand while just like you, I've been waiting for announcements that we will open our borders, and it's great that we finally do have some clarity. So I can guarantee you that we are really, really looking forward to welcoming back international students to New Zealand. We want our young Kiwi kids and New Zealand students to also work along students from other countries, which to me is really the true value of international education. When you're learning with people with different nationalities, different cultures, who bring completely different perspectives to your own, I think is hugely valuable. So we want to build up our student community to welcome you back as well. So hopefully in the months or time to come, we'll see you in New Zealand and you'll be made to feel at home.
Thank you so much, Ben. You mentioned something interesting about, you know, the fact that New Zealand, you know, wants to have as many international students as possible, because it actually adds to the benefit and the enrichment of New Zealanders and our experience as well. So I think that's really, really a lovely point. Aman, did you want to share some final words of wisdom, anything that we haven't covered that we should quickly let everybody know before we allow these good people to get on with their day?
Yeah, I just like what Ben said, it's a really exciting time for all of us. Now, I think international students have been waiting for 2 years. A lot of them who've shown their interest in coming to New Zealand, finally there's some clarity around it. And we are more than happy to come and assist you. Come reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you chalk out your pathway as soon as you can come. What will be your whenever you can come to New Zealand, so we'll be happy to assist you on that.
Thank you. And I just like to reiterate to everybody that, you know, the New Zealand government acknowledges and obviously wants international students, which is why you have your own special little niche spot within the existing border exemption instructions and the ability to be entering New Zealand before some other cohorts. So I think that highlights that the opportunity is there, and if you have been thinking about it, you know, now is the time to push ahead with your further research and get things underway. We know that everything always takes longer than we like, so starting now will mean that you'll be further ahead than if you start tomorrow. Now, I know that we've shared the link to register for to find out more about the different courses that you can study here in New Zealand that we can help you with. We've also, I think, shared the links to our various Facebook pages. So we have one that's specifically for visa and immigration updates, what's happening in that space, and then also just some generic information about New Zealand and migrating down under as well. So I would like to thank everybody again for joining us, and in particular our two panelists, Ben and Aman, and we look forward to speaking to everyone again soon. Any questions that we didn't get through to today, we will make a point of making sure that they're the first topics that were addressed in our upcoming webinars. We will be doing these more regularly. We've obviously got webinars about all sorts of things because we're a big immigration and migration company. So please do register to find out more about all of the ways that we can assist you. Thank you very much, and good morning, because I believe most people it's still early in the day for them. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.